agree with that.
All right, I don't know if you but let me ask you this. You said election cycle of 4 years.
Yeah.
We have been very consistent since 1999. At the federal level, the presidential level, gubernatorial level, and at the local government level.
Yeah.
Let me put it to you that as we speak today, out of the 774 local governments in the country, 313 out of them are being run by sole administrators. Now, is that consistent with the tenets of democracy?
No, I told you earlier on that our democracy is a journey to a destination. Democracy is not the destination. The destination is good governance. But like we say, we
are coming to good governance.
Yes, like we say in in our local palace, there are so many roads to a market. But democratic system is the route through which we want to get to good governance. And if you talk about our local government administration, you and I will, except if we want to disagree, well, you and I will agree that if there's one arm of government that has been so battered by state governments, it is the local government. And we must give credit to former President Muhammadu Buhari. Through the executive bill, they got a law which was passed by the Senate and also affirmed by the judiciary, such that, in time past,
autonomy.
Yes, in time past, we live in this same society where a governor could just wake up in the morning and he will remove local government chairman. He will dissolve local government chairman and appoint caretaker, executive. But it no longer happens because if you do that, statutorily, you are violating the law and there are penalties for it. So what happens is that when elected local government tenure ends, some of these states, because states have tinkered, tremendously with local government administration, and that is why we have a lot of problems in our polity today. But we are making progress. So at some time past, you talked about 300 and something the local government. At some time past, almost all the local governments were run by caretaker committee, but because through our democratic processes, everything is getting smoother and firmer. You can see that we are reducing the burden of errors or the margin of errors. So we can talk about 360 or thereabout. I can assure you that maybe in the next 4 to 10 years, we'll be talking about a zero illegal administration running our local government. So for me, that is not enough. It is for us to recognize that this is a problem we have been battling with. This is the progress we have made. How can we, expand on the gains that we have made so far? So for me, caretaker administration running local government is in violation of the Constitution if it exceeds a certain period of time, because the Constitution permits that local government must be administered by democratically elected, persons. So the gains we have made as at this stage are something we can build upon, and those shortcomings we have recognized there, we should also think about, how to address them, intellectually.
All right, please let me take you back to the judiciary. Year after year, or rather, after every election, this habit, I'm going to call it a habit, because it's shown up at every election time, that politicians must always go to court to challenge election results. And we have it more rampant now that it's the court that is deciding on the leaders more and more. This year, almost 2,000 of the positions are being challenged in the court. Is it good for our democracy? Is it a way forward that we must encourage?
Three persons, judges, for instance, to upturn the vote of
the people.
No, you are towing the line of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and for me, it's unfortunate. When the democratic system is in place, democracy also encompasses the three arms of government, which is the executive, the legislature, and judiciary. You can't say because you're having elections, then you want to isolate judiciary out of it. The role of the judiciary is to ensure that all the stakeholders play according to the rules. If parties or candidates are going to court, We should be happy about that. They are deepening our democracy. But we must also separate the fact that some of these legal issues are issues that arose from internal disputes within political parties. We have seen candidates go to court to say candidate that emerged, the person that emerged from my party as the candidate was not really a qualified candidate. So that is not our fault. But for them to go to court, I'm very happy people are going to court, because it means we are submitting ourselves to the rule of law. It's better than submitting ourselves to the rule of the thumb, or to, taking the laws into our hands. So if the judicial system has been embedded in the electoral process, it is for all the stakeholders to recognize that if you don't submit to the rules of engagement, the courts will whip you in line. And that is it. The courts are not ruling based on the feelings of the judges. The judges are making decisions based on the law. Elections is guided by law. And if somebody has come to say, my lord, this election was not conducted in conformity with the provisions of the law, it is for the judges to look at it.
Well, it's becoming too rampant.
Well, if it is becoming too rampant, so be it. So be it, because it is part of the process. Any society that takes away the judicial adjudication of issues, can we say because people are getting divorced in marriages, then we should say we should stop going to court? Absolutely not. It's better for somebody to go their own separate ways than for us to hear that the husband killed the wife or the wife killed the husband. No.
But you are not also looking at the integrity of that arm of government, judiciary. It's heavily coming under serious attack frequently these days. But now, does that not impact on its integrity and its...
no, it does not in any way. We have seen cases where people that went to court yesterday got judgments in their favor, thumbed up the judiciary, and they went to court today, got judgment against them, judgment went against them, and the next thing is to start, lampooning the judiciary. It is for us as Nigerians to put on our thinking cap and look at the issues. Politicians are very funny people. When people go to courts, they whip up their emotions. Look at the last general election, the presidential election. Parties went to court. And the court said elections was conducted in 176,606 polling units thereabouts, close to 177,000. The court said you complained that elections were flawed. Can you tell us where exactly elections were flawed? The litigants were telling the courts elections were flawed everywhere. And the court said under the Electoral Act, there are designated places where election takes place. The election does not take place. There's no way in the Electoral Act or in the Constitution that is called everywhere. Most places, some places, every place. That you have to be specific. The courts are not angels. When you bring facts, the court deals with facts and evidence. When you bring your facts and evidence to court, the court will adjudicate on it, judiciously. Take, for example, the case of Kano State gubernatorial election, where the party that lost the election went to court with the evidence that 163,000 ballot papers were not stamped and were not signed. And you and I know very well that in law, any document that is not authenticated, it's a nullity. And the court said, oh, you mean INEC counted this? Then the court said, remove this 163,000 from the vote. And the court did justice. So we can't say because the court is doing its job and it does not favor us, then we continue to, cast aspersions on the image of the judiciary. I won't subscribe to that. And I encourage Nigerians, when people are casting aspersions on the judiciary, it is for us ourselves. That's why God has given us the brain to look at the issues, dispassionately, and don't allow ourselves, to be taken for a ride.
Okay, let's look at the issue of separation of powers and the independence of each of these arms. In normal climes, in normal democracy, each of these institutions is supposed to be strong enough to challenge and then defend its coverage area, so to speak.
Yes.
Now, in times past, particularly during the era of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, several Senate presidents actually were actually removed from office based on their supposed resistance of some agenda of the executive. Now, situations where speakers, senators, or Senate president is, his tenure is dependent on the whims and caprices of the executive. Would you say such an executive, such democracy is ideal and is... No, when he was talking about democracy not working, have you not seen instances like this before? For you to say, oh, truly, we really need to look at this. Are they separate? The separation of powers, is it really in accordance to the Constitution? And are they strong enough, these institutions, to be able to defend democracy? Like
we stated earlier on, that democracy is the path to a journey. Democracy is not the journey. In the journey to that path that we are traveling on, it is not unnatural, it is not out of place for us to sleep and fall. We can even break our hand. It is for us to realize that, oh, we have a broken hand, this hand has to be put in place and continue on the journey. When you talk about these institutions, those things are also part of the learning process which we have overcome by now. Ordinarily, the members of the legislature or the legislature as a body should be immune from the overbearing influence of the executive. And from time immemorial, we have seen that the influence of the executive or the legislature has waned, has thinned out gradually. In time past, people rush to say, oh, the legislature is a rubber stamp. And for me, I tell them, when the legislators refuse the executive's advances or overtures on some bills, is that legislature a rubber stamp? You won't see that. But when the legislature is on the same page with the executive, people find fault. Because we live in a society where people glorify anarchy, unhealthy relationship. The legislature and the executive are supposed to work harmoniously for the same purpose. The legislature is to make laws for the good of the people. The executive is to implement the laws. But we live in a society where if we see them together, just like in our homes, if you see a man and a wife, holding one another on the road and, laughing and smiling, oh, they will tell you, that woman has given him, like in our local parlance, he has given him vegetables, so the man is a dummy. But, people believe that a strong man is a man that pummels the wife. It shouldn't be so. So the three arms of government are working. Those shortcomings you identified were things we started our democratic process in 1999 with, in which former President Olusegun Obasanjo, like I stated earlier on, the illegality, the absurdity, the criminality that perpetrated his administration is unparalleled, and I'm praying to God Almighty that may we never travel the path under which we traveled with former President Obasanjo, because those were the period where presidents of the Senate and the House of Representatives were removed at the whims and caprices of President Obasanjo using executive powers. But these days, things like that are very difficult to get. Are
you trying to say that there's been a kind of trend from 1999 that democracy started that we shouldn't expect to change?
No, there were some trends then that you cannot find anywhere again. It's no more prevalent. Okay. You can, it is not out of place, like I said, the executive and the legislature must be one. They must work together because they are working for the same purpose, good governance. If the executive has a program, the executive has to lobby the legislature to pass a law. Without the legislature passing a law to that effect, that goal of the executive will not be achieved. the executive does not have the powers of making laws. I hope we know that. It is the powers of the legislature. And if the legislature does not make the law, everything becomes stand. So those trends, those lacuna, we have built on them. We have, like I told you, it's a journey. We have fallen down on the path. We have stood up and continued on our journey. While going on that journey, we might be having back pain, but that does not mean we should go back or we should stop. No, we are moving forward.
No, they were not saying we should remove democracy in its totality. Of course, they were calling for review that is not working for us, that we needed to look at our constitution again and then look at the players in the field. For instance, when you look at a situation where, as we speak today, many people are of the opinion that it's only politicians, those people in National Assembly, the executive level, federal and states, they are the only people that are smiling to the bank, who are enjoying all the dividends, that you really need to belong to be able to make something out of your life. That's to be able to that rich in other climes. They said the politicians are supposed to be servants. But in Nigeria, people have the opinion that politicians are the wealthy people in our community. People went in as maybe unemployed graduates or people who could not make anything out of their businesses that have found themselves in politics and within 4 years have suddenly become billionaires. Now, in such a situation where voters go in a cycle of 4 years and there is nothing to show for it, now, would you say that such a democracy works?
Well, the issue about enjoyment is relative. I don't know what you mean by enjoyment. If you are doing business in Nigeria and you are doing a legitimate business, I know a lot of businessmen who are smiling, who are not politicians. I don't subscribe to this blackmail of politicians as though politicians are people that are falling from heaven. The truth of the matter is that our political system is highly monetized. If you don't have money, you can't run our politics. And if...
Is that ideal?
It's not ideal, but that is the situation we have found. And are we ready to change?
So that means what they are saying is right?
How is it right?
If it is highly monetized,
yes,
you and I may not be able to have opportunity to serve.
How about you and I that on election day we are waiting to be induced by the politicians? What role are we? The PDP won the gubernatorial election in Osun State. Why are we not saying, oh, it's an attempt to turn the country into a one-party state? If we have strong institutions, it's not possible. Then we must have a citizenry that is informed, that knows their right. That is why programs like this must be encouraged, must be supported, so that citizens will become aware. You saw what happened. The electoral law, and we have a vibrant, constitution. We have a vibrant judiciary. If you do anything that runs contrary to the, for example, look at the gubernatorial election in Taraba State, where the resident electoral commissioner, who is not permitted under law to announce result, went and announced the result. INEC removed him. That is to tell you how strong our institutions are getting. Because the law guiding our conduct is written in black and white. And even if INEC had not intervened, that pronouncement, that declaration by that man wouldn't have stood in court, because the electoral law stipulates who is permitted by law to do that. So we need to ensure that our institutions are encouraged to remain firm, to remain objective, to remain diligent, and not join people who want to, run down our institutions because of partisanship, because of their own selfish interests. These institutions of states, you talk about the security, you talk about the judiciary, you talk about the legislature, you talk about the executive. We must always put our eyes on the ball and ensure that they comply with the rules assigned to them by the country. Where they are straying out of it, we should all speak out.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing.
There are methods, there are measures through which I can take a placard, I can go to media houses, I can stand in a corner of a road with my people, and make a media, event of whatever cause we're agitating about. So the democracy we are practicing has not in any way infringe on that right to civil disobedience. But it is not to say we have not seen attempts, to muzzle that. It is the fact that our people themselves must recognize that in advancing any cause, if the generality of the people are not with you on that cause, you'll be working alone. Because whatever cause you are agitating, you need the buy-in of society for that cause, to have maximum effect. That is why we need the issue of intellectualism in a lot of things we do. It is not by might or by power, but by ideas.
Let's talk about INEC now. INEC has been under serious criticism, more so with this election and even also the by-election also.
The obstacle elections.
Yes. So let's talk about them. How would you evaluate their participation, the effect they've had, even their challenges as regards fronting democracy in Nigeria?
Well, we have made tremendous progress with INEC coming from 1999. This was a country in which elections were conducted in the past. 500 people will be registered in a polling station, and the 500 will vote. This was a country, if you remember, where Nelson Mandela in South Africa was found on our voters register to have voted. Mother Teresa. Those were years of absurdity and absurdity and illegality. Yes, that's the truth. But because INEC has made progress, look at now, INEC has deployed technology to limit electoral fraud. We cannot run away from the fact that our society today, our values are almost down totally. And when we are talking about INEC is peopled by Nigerians. People that are always looking for. While some are law-abiding, they want to follow the due process of the law. Some wants to shortchange the system. They are looking for a quick fix, and they cut across all the stakeholders. I've been an election observer since 1999, and I can tell you for free my experiences on the field. When INEC gets to the polling station, there's a lot of inducement, there's a lot of threats to their life and property. We have seen situations where INEC staff have been killed, where INEC staff have been kidnapped. They don't have two lives now. We have seen situations where INEC want to hold the election, and security tells them that, no, you can't hold this election, your life is not safe. INEC will have to leave. So INEC is a product of our society. Whatever INEC is facing is what we are all experiencing, is what we are all doing. Because if people in INEC are not doing the right thing, these are persons who have come from our homes. It means we have failed in our value. We have failed to imbibe values, right values into this personnel. And that is why they have become a problem. So the performance of INEC, you talk about the elections. INEC is people by Nigerians. INEC has done its best.
Is that why it's not independent according to its name?
Why? Who says who? Who is the teleguiding INEC? All the allegations that has been made against INEC.
The chairman is always an appointee of the president. That's why people feel it's not independent.
People who feel that way need to be educated. I just told you that the role of the media is education, information, and entertainment. People need to. The chairman of INEC in the off-cycle elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State, where did you see the chairman of INEC? Where was he present in any of the elections?
He's still in charge.
Although,
seen physically.
Even if he's not seen physically, the electoral law stipulates the conduct, how elections should be conducted. That election must be conducted in a polling station. That a polling officer has been assigned to that polling station, and you as a party has a right under law to present a party agent. At the last election, I was in Kogi. There was 18 political parties contested the gubernatorial election in Kogi. There was virtually no polling station you could get to that you find 4 party agents. So is that the fault of INEC? If you have a right and you are not exercising that right, is INEC going to force you to exercise your rights? So, all right. So INEC has done very well. INEC also has its shortcomings, but those shortcomings cannot in any way rub off the superlative work INEC is doing. And we can only look at those areas where INEC still has shortcomings and see how we can improve on it.
Okay, as we coast over.
To remain firm, to remain objective, to remain diligent, and not join people who want to, run down our institutions because of partisanship, because of their own selfish interests. These institutions of states, you talk about the security, you talk about the judiciary, you talk about the legislature, you talk about the executive. We must always put our eyes on the ball.
On the program, we still have another segment on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's our pleasure, sir.
Thank
Make
you
sure
very
you
much.
don't go far away from us because
I
we
won't.
keep a tab on you too.
I won't.
All right, so we're going to the last segment of the program, like we do every week, showcasing the developmental strides of the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration in Lagos State. We bring to you the commissioning of the Onyigbo overpass bridge in the last few weeks. That was done. My name is Jumoke Michael. See you again next week. Bye-bye.
I really got very well informed through our guests on this edition of the program on why democracy must remain with us, and we must do all we can to make sure that our democracy works and it works for every one of us. That's our package today. My name is Banji Busari. See you again next week. Bye-bye.
Barely 2 weeks after the successful commissioning of Yaba Overpass Bridge, the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu recorded another milestone with the commissioning of the legacy project at Onyigbo. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Sunday, 6th of November 2023, commissioned the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line Overpass Bridge at Onyigbo. Onyigbo Overpass Bridge is a major transit link between Lagos Island and the mainland, ascending from Murtala Mohammed Way into Ebute Metta and dropping traffic into two separate arterial roads, Ido and Costain. Apparently demonstrating support to Governor Sanwo-Olu's giant developmental strides in the axis, the event was attended by several traditional rulers, cultural societies, religious leaders, APC chieftains, and community associations. The governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the deputy governor, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, and the governor of Ekiti State, Governor Abiodun Abayomi Oyebamiji, arrived at the event amid cheers and welcome from the people. The Managing Director of Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, Mrs. Abimbola Akinyajo, gave a welcome speech.
Line Onyigbo Overpass Bridge, which is vitally important to pushing traffic into other parts of the mainland and Lagos Island. The Onyigbo Overpass Bridge is the third of the 5 bridges built over the LRMT Red Line corridor by the Lagos State government to separate vehicular, pedestrian and train traffic, and therefore eliminate the incessant accidents on railway level crossings. These bridges are an essential part of the Rail Mass Transit Red Line project to ensure the safety of the people of Lagos. The Red Line project, the Red Line Onyigbo Overpass Bridge, has a total of 717 meters and it is a T-bridge. I would also like to inform you that the infrastructure to support the operation of the LRMT Red Line Rail are already in place, with stations and rail platforms built at Oyingbo, Yaba, Mushin, Oshodi, Ikeja, Agege, Iju. By and large, the whole system will be ready for testing operations from the first quarter of next year, with the infrastructure ready by the end of the year. The Red Line, when open for passenger operations, will have an exponential effect on the economy of Lagos State. The 37-kilometer Red Line rail system is expected to move up to 1 million passengers daily when fully operational. This rail line will reduce congestion, emissions, and facilitate easy movement for commuters and goods.
The construction partner of the Oyingbo Overpass Bridge, Steph Development Limited, had the managing director, Mrs. Ajeremi, seizing the opportunity to thank the governor for his vision.
We are immensely honored and privileged to have been awarded the Oyingbo Bridge project. And we are here today to witness the official commissioning of this monumental infrastructure. First and foremost, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to His Excellency, the Lagos State Governor, for entrusting Step Development Limited with this significant project. We are grateful for the opportunity and the confidence that have been placed on us. Ladies and gentlemen, the Oyingbo Bridge project is a significant milestone in the infrastructural development of this present administration under the dynamic leadership of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. We commend you, Mr. Governor, for your visionary leadership as well as your commitment to implementing this laudable project that is transforming Lagos into a dynamic and prosperous city. Your resourceful and pragmatic approach to governance continue to inspire Lagosians as a whole. We are pleased to inform you, Your Excellency, that the implementation of this milestone Oyingbo Bridge was successful in further growing local content. As promoted by the federal government of Nigeria, we use domestic technologies and materials to complete this project. We are able to lessen the country's dependence on expensive international imports and develop a market for indigenous engineering goods by cooperating with local manufacturers and to establish a market for indigenous engineering products. Your Excellency, the successful execution of Oyingbo Bridge has not only promoted numerous local businesses that have collaborated with us on this project, but it has also increased national self-sufficiency in the engineering industry by developing new technology. Local artisans, civil engineers, structural engineers, the architects, the land surveyor, the quantity surveyor, project managers, and administrative professionals with technical know-hows, proving work experience and monitoring to assume responsibility for this type of massive infrastructure development project in Nigeria in the nearest future. It is important to inform you, Your Excellency, that the completion of Oyingbo Bridge has created over 5,000 jobs to artisans, bricklayers, tilers, and others. It is also worth of mentioning that the project has provided capacity development and training opportunity for numerous students from both private and public universities, as well as youth corps members. We are glad to inform you that we have hired many of the trained youth corps members.
A goodwill message was delivered by the Lagos State Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Mr. Oluwaseun Oshiemi.
Very clear and specific on the transport projects and infrastructure required to make our beloved state competitive among the College of Cities. The Lagos Rail Mass Transit projects are a subset of the STMP, which prescribes 6 rail lines and one monorail for Lagos. For the red line to be fully functional, there must be some supporting infrastructure that must be provided. The LRMT Red Line Oyingbo Overpass Bridge is one of such supporting infrastructure. Lagosians will recall that our governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, last Thursday commissioned the Yaba Overpass Bridge, the first of the 4 newly constructed overpass bridges over the Red Line tracks to be commissioned. The provision of this transport infrastructure is a testament to the fulfillment of the electoral promises of Mr. Governor under the first pillar of a Themes Plus development agenda, traffic management and transportation. The government's vision for transportation for Lagos is one that is sustainable, intermodal, and an integrated system. Our transport infrastructure therefore speaks to the intramodality. For instance, the Oyingbo train station connects to the terminal, thus giving commuters the choice of which transport mode to use to get to their destinations. Mr. Governor, sir, our special guest of honor, Mr. Deputy Governor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, just a few days ago at the commission of Yaba Overpass Bridge, I emphasized that while it is the responsibility of government to provide infrastructure, it is equally important for the people for whom they are provided to own them, and that they report any abuse of the infrastructure to law enforcement agencies and the ministries or agencies in charge. This way, our infrastructure will work for us and make life easier for us. I congratulate Mr. Governor and the entire people of Lagos for the delivery of another life-changing project that will change the face of commuting and traffic management in this vicinity.
Also on hand to deliver her goodwill message was the Honorable Chairman of Lagos Mainland Local Government, Honorable Mrs. Omolola ACN.
I am honored to stand before you as the chairman of this local government, representing the aspiration and hopes of our people. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Mr. Celebo, Mr. Connectivity, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, for his unwavering commitment to the development of our great state. The completion of this bridge is a testament to your visionary leadership, dedication, and tireless effort in transforming Lagos State into a truly world-class city. The bridge we are commissioning today is not just a structure of concrete and steel. It's a lifeline for the people of Lagos mainland, and it will significantly alleviate the traffic congestion that has plagued our roads for years, improving the quality of life commuters and enhance economic activities in this area. This project is a clear demonstration of the government's commitment to providing efficient transportation infrastructure for the benefit of its citizens. This bridge represents the collective aspiration of our people for a better future, and it is a symbol of progress that we all can be proud of. Therefore, my honor, Your Excellency, we will ensure that this infrastructure is protected and preserved, and with your support, we promise absolute zero tolerance to trading under the bridge.
The chairman of the Lagos State House of Assembly Committee on Transportation, Honorable Adewale Temitope, in a speech at the event, said that the Legacy Bridge was part of the promises made and kept by Governor Sanwo-Olu.
We are here to speak the mind of the people and to appreciate our governor for the great job he's doing. As much as I'm happy to be here, I still remember that this is the same bus terminal that was burnt down some time ago. To my surprise, the bus terminal is now up and running again. And not only that, we now have a T bridge in Lagos mainland. About 4 years ago, I was appointed the Chairman House Committee on Transportation by Right Honorable Dr. Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa. And I was worried that how do we solve the transport problems in Lagos State? Then I saw the team's agenda, where Mr. Governor put the transportation first. And that got me more worried, because if Mr. Governor decided that transport will come first, that means a lot of work. We had the transport sector reform law, which we did. We have the Lagos State Transport Master Plan, which is in place. And now we are here today again, having Themes Agenda Plus. Mr. Governor, I want to say to you, you have done very well. And the people of Lagos Mainland will forever be grateful to you. Today we are opening the bus park, and we are also commissioning the T Bridge. Your political scorecard has said it all. Your promises to the people as a politician and as the executive governor of Lagos State has come to pass. And I want to continue to tell you that for as long as you continue to do what is right to the people and for the people, the Lagos State House of Assembly, ably led by Right Honorable Dr. Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa, will continue to stand with you. We know just 2 days ago or last week you opened the Yaba Bridge. Today we are here to commission the Oyingbo Bridge. I know we still have the Mushin Bridge, we have the Keja Bridge. To talk of all the train stations that have been completed that are yet to be commissioned. Mr. Governor, history will be kind to you. On behalf of the good people of Lagos State, I assure you that Mr. Speaker will continue to stand by you for every need you have that has to do with infrastructural development in the transport sector.
The governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his speech, highlighted that the siting of the infrastructure in the area is strategic and intentional to achieve a seamless, integrated, intermodal transport system for the people. He said that the Oyingbo flyover is an important bridge connecting Oyingbo station of the Lagos Red Line to the Oyingbo bus station. The infrastructure has also opened new connectivity for motorists and commuters going to the island from the mainland.
Excitement of the fact that a Lagos that we promised is really rising. And with that, I want to express first my appreciation to my brother, the governor of Ekiti State. This is the second in within a week that we're handing over to our citizens. A couple of days ago, like I've been said, we commissioned a very important Yaba overpass bridge. These are bridges that are along the Red Line. With this overpass, we are providing what we call permanent solutions when the train starts, because you need to build the infrastructure before the rail continues. And so we're putting the round holes in round peg, and we're ensuring that the Lagos State Transport Master Plan, as we have done, we're on track and we're within time to ensure that everything is done. We will understand that the overpass is to avoid completely vehicular interaction or pedestrian engagement when the train starts. The blue line, as you have seen, is a train corridor that is completely off pedestrian or vehicular movement. Similarly, we will need to spend a lot of money on infrastructure to be able to do the same thing for the Red Line. The Red Line is at grid, meaning it's not a bridge rail infrastructure. So when you have it at grid, you need to have interactions with vehicular movement and pedestrian movement. So you need to be able to build those infrastructure so that you can avoid any form of accident when the train starts. And so I'm delighted and excited that within the last 2.5 years, we've given it a challenge that we will complete all of the 5 overpasses that we have identified as major gridlock for the Red Line to be able to function and work well. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's also important for us to say that these infrastructures that we're building is for us to be able to ensure that skills and knowledge are being transferred. Mr. Steps and Lamata did mention during the construction of this bridge, we have students from some of our institutions that were on attachment. We have engineers that are new engineers that come to see how bridges are being constructed from Yaba Tech, from University of Lagos, and from Lagos State University. They were all here to see and to work with them so that the experience is not lost on them. And like Step had said, thousands and thousands of people were engaged during this construction, And I'm happy to note that jobs were created, and they've said that they've even retained some of them after the construction of these things. I think it's also important that we'll also, remind ourselves, that when we promise a master plan where rail, road, water, infrastructure will work together. This is a classical example of it. Here in Oyingbo, you will see that there's a bus station that is a massive bus station, and there's going to be pedestrian walk to get onto the train stations, right? So you can commute from the train stations onto the bus stations, and it will be seamless. But the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that in all of our transportation solutions, we're using only one single card, which is called the Cowrie card. Cowrie card today has been distributed to over 4 million Lagosians. Over 4 million citizens have the blue Cowrie card, and they are using it both on land, they are using it on train, and they are using it also on waterways. So the integrated urban transportation system that we promised, right here, you can begin to see it being informed and so being utilized and being implemented without any hitch at all.
Governor Sanwo-Olu personally introduced the special guest of honor, His Excellency, the Governor of Ekiti State, Abiodun Abayomi Oyebamiji, to deliver his speech. He applauded Governor Sanwo-Olu for doing good works in Lagos State and also admonished Lagosians to embrace transformative leadership, reforms, and good governance.
Finally, to thank my brother, His Excellency, the Governor of Ekiti State, Honorable Abiodun Oyebamiji, for honoring us, as I invite him to come forward and make a few remarks and go ahead and commission and hand over the Oyingbo overpass for the good people of Lagos and for the benefit of mankind. Your Excellency, sir.
Today's event speaks to what is possible when you have a government that believes in the vision, in the policies and the programs of its predecessors. Mr. President, as Governor of Lagos State, emplaced the building blocks for a new Lagos, on which Governors Fashola, Ambode, and now Governor Sanwo-Olu is building on. The import of this is that the people are the ultimate beneficiary of such. My advice to Lagosians is Lagos State has become a model for transformative leadership, for reforms, for innovation, and for good governance. And when you have a system that works, you must guide it jealously. I advise Lagosians to treasure this path and ensure that we drive on this progressive lane so that our people ultimately will benefit from this. The development stride of the Sanwo-Olu administration is audible to the deaf, is visible to the blind, because these are things you can feel, you can see, and you can touch. And among we first-timer governors, Governor Sanwo-Olu is a mentor to a lot of us. In the past 1 year, most of our commissioners in Ekiti State have been to Lagos State to peer review their counterparts in Lagos, because everybody is interested in the Lagos miracle, which is due to continuity. So my charge to Lagosians is that we must guide this jealously. We can't afford a reversal of all the things that the progressive government have done in Lagos State. And I must thank Governor Sanwo-Olu for being a man of excellence from the center of excellence, sir. Thank you so much, because you are a beacon of hope to some of us. And I make a pledge, sir, that I won't be tired of coming back to Lagos to commission more projects. And I assure you that very soon too, we invite you to Ekiti State to see what we have done. And also to use this platform publicly, sir, to thank you for being a great mentor. Thank you for being a burden bearer, and thank you for being a brother indeed. I pray that I shall be wet with Lagos State.
Mr. Governor, his deputy, the Ekiti State Governor, and other dignitaries later performed the unveiling of the commissioning plaque.
The Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line on the overpass bridge, commissioned today by His Excellency Mr. Abiodun Abayomi, the Governor of Ekiti State, this day, Sunday, 5th November 2023, to the glory of God and benefit of mankind. Congratulations.
With this accomplishment, it was an apparently elated Governor Sanwo-Olu and his entourage that took an extensive tour and inspection of the Onyigbo Overpass Bridge. Together, both Yaba Overpass Bridge and Onyigbo Overpass Bridge are central and critical to the small, medium, and large economic activities around the axis where they are sited. Both bridges will contribute significantly to the seamless movement of humans, goods, and services in the axis, which will enhance and boost trade in the state.